During July, I did a lot of different photographic experiments that I'm really proud of. Now most of these things can't really be made into their own video, so I think it's really good to summarise them in just one big video and talk about everything I made in July. Again, credit to this kind of format of video goes to William Verback. You can find this link in the description, but this is photos I made in July. In one of my previous videos, I went over a process called Lumen prints, which is pretty much where you take the sun to directly print images or objects onto darkroom paper. So I had some expired darkroom paper that I wanted to experiment with because apparently you can get different or interesting results with expired paper. So doing a few tests with this paper, I got interesting results. I wouldn't say the images are bad, but the more monochromatic tone of the Lumen prints is definitely not something I'm going for. Nonetheless, I did a side-by-side comparison with the regular paper and expired for 10 hours, and I think the results are probably the best Lumen prints I've made so far. There's some insane detail in these Lumen prints and I'm really proud of them. From here, however, I definitely know I didn't really want to experiment with the expired paper, so that was just kind of a waste. I did do a few more with just a regular darkroom paper and the results are honestly quite impressive. Doing just different ranges of exposures and kind of framing them in my sketchbook, I really like how some of them have turned out. But that just kind of wraps up where I am with Lumen prints at the moment. One of the main things I did actually experiment with this month are cyanotypes. I have no past experience with cyanotypes, so I was going into this completely blind. But for those of you who don't know, cyanotypes are pretty much a process of mixing two chemicals together and then painting it on a surface. This could be a paper, fabric, or whatever you really want it to be. Then once it dries, it becomes light sensitive. From there you can take a negative or flowers and you can imprint this image onto the cyanotype. Cyanotypes are very distinctive for their deep blue and I honestly love how they look. You can see why I kind of started just doing it with leaves and flowers and kind of understanding how it works, how long I should be exposing for and stuff like that. And eventually I moved on to experimenting with fabric. My end goal here was to make kind of clothes that I could wear with cyanotypes on them because I've seen some online and they look really cool. This is obviously not as easy as it looks though. Most of this book that I'm showing you is full of just mistakes. Each time I made a print, it seemed I learned something new but then went 3 steps backwards. One of the main things you quickly learn about cyanotypes on fabric is they do not like anything but water. But after kind of figuring out what I was doing, I realised even after just washing them with water, they were still kind of going yellow. That's when I learned the pH level of my water was too high. So my compromise was mixing lemon juice, which is an acid, with my water to kind of lower the pH level, and I finally got wearable good results. I made this tote bag first, which is a bit faint, but I'm really proud of how it came out. I've gone out a few times with this. It's just with one of these pylons I took on film a while ago. The next thing I made was a t-shirt for my sister using the same pylon. And more recently, I've started to experiment with a new negative. This was just from an old uni project that I called Social Smokers. I did a few test prints on paper and it was looking good, and I've done one on a t-shirt which doesn't look amazing, but it's alright. I'm at a bit of a standstill again for cyanotypes because, well, one, you need sunny weather, and if you live in the UK, you know it's been pissing it down recently. And two, it's kind of like, where do I go from here? But when I tell you most of my month has been spent making these, honestly I've been obsessing over this. If you follow my Instagram, link in the description by the way, you would know about how much I was posting this on my story. It's been very fun though. I definitely want to keep experimenting once it gets a bit sunny again. To kind of stop me from going insane with all this sun printing and cyanotypes, I thought I'd do something that I haven't done in a while, which would be growing salt crystals and rust on negatives. Now as a normal person, that might sound a bit weird, but trust me, this is a process I've done in the past and I've really liked the results. A while ago when I was back in Brighton, I took some self-portraits on my TLR and the images were really nice, so I thought they would be the candidate to my destruction. The process here is really simple. You just put the negatives in a kind of tray with some salt water and some rusty nails, and then you kind of wait 5-6 days for the water to evaporate, and as the water evaporates, obviously salt crystals grow and you can get some pretty cool results. I did this to 4 images and I've got to say I pretty much like all of them. I'd definitely say my favourite are the ones with some more visible big salt crystals on, like these two, but I am also a bit of a sucker for how this image looks. I really like the shadow self-portrait, and the salt and rust definitely do add to it, and this one has some really unique salt crystal patterns on it, making it just another great image. It feels very refreshing to do a process I haven't done in ages and get really good results. I love growing salt crystals on film. It's something I've done for ages and I'm just very happy with these results. A while ago, some of you might remember, I shot a roll of Cinestall 800T and I absolutely love the images. Since then, I've been sitting on these images for quite a while wondering, what do I do with them next? I've wanted to damage them, but I wanted to do them in a new, unique way that I haven't done before to see what kind of interesting results I could get. So I took 2 of the worst images from the roll and wrapped them in tin foil. After wrapping them in tin foil, I hammered a nail through one and buried a nail in the other, then submerged them in salt water. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing, but the results are kind of cool. I call this one kind of Distant Stranger. I really like how it looks. The damage is just kind of surreal and crazy. It really adds just a lot of texture to the image. This one is definitely also really cool. You can see a lot of the salt crystal pattern coming through. Obviously these were just meant to be test experiments, but they've came out really well. I'm really quite proud of them. Finally, one thing you might have noticed in this video so far, all of these images, I've technically not taken any this month, more just made the images. Well, I thought it's about time I shoot a roll of film. I thought I was due to take some self-portraits, so I loaded up some HP5 with the intention to push it 2 stops, so that would be at ISO 1600. For my first 3 images, I set up a process I did all the way back in my first year of A-level photography, where I used this cracked mirror I made and took some self-portraits in the dark using my light to kind of light up my face. Now this is the part where I tell you I went out and took some amazing images as well. No, none of the images actually came out. It was quite a shame because I went to my local darkroom to develop these with my friends. It was a really fun time. I accidentally opened the tank while developing. Rookie error, I know. 2 years in shooting film and I somehow take the lid off while developing. So that was my own fault for kind of exposing these, but at least these 3 images kinda look good. This was just a failed shoot, which is really embarrassing because it was the only roll of film I shot this month. Overall, it's definitely been an interesting month for me making a bunch of different images in different kind of ways. I definitely have more interesting images coming up, just to tease at that. I may have brought a Polaroid camera. Thank you for watching this different kind of video. Again, like I said at the start, credit to this kind of video format goes to William Verbeck. Thank you for watching, and Matt out.